Blog Talk Radio.
All right. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. And thank you for tuning in to Locker Talk on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where you'll hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. You guys can always reach me directly on any one of my social handles on Twitter at Locker_report. On my personal handle, 2B Sports. On Instagram, LockReport100, all small cats. Facebook, LockReport.com, or you can always simply shoot me a message via email at barrybonds@locker-report.com. Well, I hope everyone is having themselves a great day. Hope everyone woke up, no problems. Everyone made it to their destination safely. And those who are sitting at home and sitting back looking at everything on TV regarding football, because last night, the preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, pretty much kicked off the playing season of the NFL. And I know it's the preseason. A lot of people don't really get, pumped up about it, but I do. There's a lot of stake. There's a lot of things about the preseason that I enjoy. I know the starter's not going to play. I know it's not going to be a regular season game with a lot of fluence and with the ball moving and things like that. I totally understand that. However, this is the time for young men and veterans who love playing this game to have an opportunity to show that they can be an asset to anyone in the NFL team. So with that in mind, knowing the guys from the Regional Combine platform was very active and is a part of this process, I'm really excited about it. So on today's show, we're going to talk about last night's game in regards to the guys that came through the Regional Combine, which is so dear to me, and also my watch list. That's one player that really performed very well last night that was on a watch list I created last year that actually made it on to made it on to the Denver Broncos, and I'm gonna talk about his performance. But later in the show, I have the honor and the privilege to be able to have the coach for Bethune-Cookman, Mr. Terry Sims. He will come on the show later on after we have a quick pause around 9:16. So if you guys know about this great program in the MEAC, one of the best programs in the HBCU football programs, he's coming on. So if you guys have to go to McDonald's or something like that, use the restroom, fix something right quick, go and do it, because when Coach Sims come on, I know you guys do not want to be able to walk away. You want to hear what he's going to say. You want to talk about his program this year, and also talk about a particular player that came through the NFL Regional Combine process who is currently on the NFL roster. And I'll talk about Jarrell Davis, wide receiver, playmaking wide receiver. And we're going to talk about him as well and his, I would say, his knowledge of the Regional Combine, and talk about some things, in regards to the platform in which relates to HBCU programs and also all small school talent. So make sure you guys tune in to that later on the show. Now, to last night's game for me was fun. I enjoyed it. Knowing that there are some players that's out there who I was able to have the privilege to be able to evaluate and watch what they were doing out there on the field, and they did not disappoint. And I'll start with the Falcons. And with the Falcons, they have a defensive tackle named Justin Zimmer. Justin Zimmer went to Division II school at First State University, which is located somewhere in Michigan, up in Michigan. And with his journey coming through the platform in 2016, he found himself on several teams as he bounced around the league. One time with the Bills, also one time with the Saints, but he spent most of his time with the Atlanta Falcons. And last year, he was on their practice squad to start the season, but towards the middle part of the season, that's when he got on the active roster and did get some playing time towards the end of the season. So this preseason game, knowing Atlanta had 5 games, as well as the Denver Broncos, 5 games to really show what he can do on the field. So he got a good significant playing time last night, especially in the second half of the game. He walked away with 5 tackles. All the tackles was assists, but it still totaled up to maybe 5 tackles. He pretty much finished off a lot of the stops from the ball carriers for the Denver Broncos. And so last night he really showed good feet. He showed patience, and he definitely showed his pad level had improved a lot. So he was able to see him hit on impact at lower than what he used to when he first got into the league. So definitely saw some improvements and adjustments in his game. Now, Ishmael has been a veteran for the Falcons since 2012. That's when he came through the process. Been with Atlanta ever since, and he moved around a couple of times. For the most part, he was a cornerback, and then they opened up a door for him to be a safety. And now with the changes that's going on in Atlanta, a lot of times now you see him playing the linebacker position, but he backed out into the safety position. So last night, as a veteran, he did get some playing time. He signed a 1-year extension this year, so he's pretty much locked in for this year, and he was one of the veteran players that played last night, not for a long time, but his impact was still evident out there, showing the young boys how to hit, how to move around the field, as he was showing leadership on the field. He finished with 3 tackles last night and had 2 good solo hits towards going out of bounds, which he showed that he can play from edge to edge, showing that his leadership ability is there. So I think that's going to be one of the things that the coaching staff want to see, how he does as he progresses towards the part of the progressing towards the regular season. In the secondary for Atlanta is another young man who I'm very high on. His name is Jason Thompson. He's a safety. He bounced around in the league, pretty much the same story as Justin Zimmer. The only thing that's different was that Justin was able to hang on with the team a little longer. And Jason, when he first came into the league, he was with the Patriots. And then after with the Patriots, he bounced around to several other teams around the league as well. And Jason, I would say, he's more of a smooth type of defensive back that's very fluent, pretty much have a mindset of an offensive player, skill player, because that's the type of style that he plays. You know, he's never shy away from contact. He's always making sure that he's in on the play, making sure that nothing gets away from him. So to see that he landed with this team after spending some time with the Seattle Seahawks and spent some time with the Redskins, to see that he finally had landed with a team that can really use his skill set. Still 25, came from Utah, 6'2", 208 pounds. Very fast, very quick. Last night, he really showed a lot on the field. He did walk away from with 2 tackles last night, but he had a real good open field tackle to force a fourth down with 9 minutes and 14 seconds left in regulation of the game. So it was really good to see him back on the field. I know I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to make this roster, knowing that Atlanta needs some help on the back end. So I really believe that this young man can really help this team in that area. And so that's what happened on the front with the Atlanta Falcons. You listen to Locker Talk on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars tomorrow, today. And don't forget, you know, go into tune in. Type in the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where you hear our shows on there with a variety of shows that cover so many topics, anything from religion, politics, entertainment, social news, anything, and of course with sports with your one and only Barry Bonds on Locker Talk. Now, with the Broncos, I would say they have some unique players on that field. They pretty much, you know, they have they're going to have some competitive positions they have to weigh in on. And one of them where they definitely would need some help in will be in a wide receiver situation. And amongst the wide receivers, Stephen Dunbar, Jr. Came through the process of the RC last year, a big body, 6'3", coming from the University of Houston. He was on the roster for the San Francisco 49ers all last season. He was on that practice squad, but he made his way onto the active roster, really didn't, and then found himself back on the practice squad, but he was on the team nonetheless. So what the Broncos did, because teams who had players on the practice squad, they can be signed off of their team to go into another team, and that's what the Broncos did. The Broncos knew they had to improve their receiving game. No, they need to have more pieces there to build up their depth on that team for that position. So he's one of the guys they had brought in. And from every snap that he was on the field, every person, every defensive player from Atlanta that had to check him pretty much played him on bump and run. And they did not give him those spaces. It was like they did their study on this young man, pretty much letting him know that he's not going to get off the snap so fast, and he's not going to push them around. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but last year when I talked about his skill set, he kind of reminded me he have a running style and a physicality that I can compare to almost like a Terrell Owens, the way how he's built, the way how he runs, and the way how he conducts himself on the field. Other than the sideline antics, that's who I look at Dunbar as on that field. So that's where he had played. He played in a situation last night where he always was pretty much in a bump and run situation. He had 3 catches last night for 14 yards, and he was targeted 5 times in that game. So he did pretty good in his showing for the Denver Broncos. Looking forward to seeing more targets come his way as the preseason continued to progress. As far as kickers, Brandon McManus, who's a veteran, he was out there last night. He did his thing, so there's no surprise there. He's definitely one of the pioneers of the RC program. So it was really good to see that he's pretty much in kicking shape. He had a couple of games last year that he won, and it was like one game that he could have pulled out with a field goal, but he missed. But I know with Brandon, he's going to do better this year, and I know that part he wish he can get back. But 2018 is an old year. 2019 is totally new, so he's going to move forward from there. Now, the player from the watch list that developed last year as far as unknown talents, primarily guys from the Division II level, to get to the NFL, to be able to get their name out there, to really to spark some kind of interest where NFL scouts will want to be in the presence of an unknown talent to see if they can find the next Terrell Davis, to find the next Malcolm Butler. All these situations to find that player that has been totally left out, that player that was totally overlooked. So scouts are into that. And so creating the watch list and knowing my involvement with the NFL football operations to use the influence that I have to put some shine on some of the players last year. And Devontae Jackson, running back for the Denver Broncos, number 48, he was one of the guys that was on the list. And last night, he did pretty good. He had 12 carries for 26 yards, and they were tough yards. All his runs pretty much was up the middle with contact, and so he really showed he had some good balance and he can bring some power, good pad level. Just got to keep pumping those legs. So it was 2 runs that he had back-to-back, that one of those he could have broke out, but I think he was looking to at least get to the second level to get the first down. But if he kept his footing, he would have had a big game that was early in the fourth quarter. So I'm really happy to see what Mr. Jackson was able to accomplish last night, and all the guys from the RC. You listen to Locker Talk on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. As we come up from the short pause, I will have the pleasure of having Mr. Terry Sims, who is the head coach of Bethune-Goodman, a solid program, not only in the MEAC conference, but in college football, period. We're going to have him come on. He's going to talk about his team. He actually have a player on his team that's going to be on my list that I will release later on this month as far as my preseason watch list. And we will definitely talk about that particular player when he come on to the show I'm definitely going to talk about his accomplishments and allow him to be able to talk about the program, talk about a certain player that came through his process that's currently in the NFL. You listen to Locker Talk on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network.
Hey, this is L.A. Bachelor reminding you, if you're looking for real discussion on sports, politics, religion, and other topics, you need to join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern at WCOMFM.org, on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. at blogtalkradio.com/LA-Bachelor, and on Thursdays at the same web address. Follow us on Facebook at Pad Nation, on Twitter, Pad Nation, the number 2 at Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can email us with your requests, your comments, your concerns, anything you want at our email address at LABachelor with a T, BATCHELOR 40@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook and Pad Nation, Instagram, and of course, if you miss any part of our broadcast, make sure you go to thebachelorpadnetwork.com and listen and enjoy the Bachelor Pad. Hey, this is L.A. Bachelor reminding you to join us on the Donaldson Files with your host, Tom Donaldson and Coco Constantly. Join them and listen to all the topics and discussions on Mondays on WCOMFM.org or on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at blogtalkradio.com/LA Bachelor. It is politics that you've never heard before on the Donaldson Files. And if you miss any part of their broadcast, you can listen to the podcast at our website, thebachelorpadnetwork.com.
If you want to hear another view of the latest developments in Trump's Washington, listen to the Dr. Larry Show. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Dr. Larry is a former businessman, entrepreneur, college president, and author who provides background and context for current events and trends in politics, education, foreign policy, and religion from a conservative perspective. Tune in and hear the other side as Dr. Larry talks with Washington insiders exclusively on blogtalkradio.com and the podcast at thebachelorpadnetwork.com.
Taste and health. You want both in one cranberry juice? You want Northland.
Northland has a kick to it. I like that.
It says 100% juice on their label. That tells me it's healthy.
Cranberry raspberry, cranberry grape. I love all their flavors.
Northland, a great taste and the health benefits of cranberry. Only Northland has 27% cranberry in all 9 of its 100% juice cranberry blends.
I choose Northland because it fits my healthy lifestyle.
Northland, 100% juice, 100% refreshing.
This is Chicago-style hot dog here. I'm not feeling too good. Turns out, along with all the other bad things my cholesterol does, they say it's a risk factor for strokes. Strokes? Sheesh. Good news from National Stroke Association. Exercising, eating right, and asking your doctor about medicines that can help lower your cholesterol like statins may reduce the risk of a first stroke. And if you've already had a stroke, it's even more important you lower your cholesterol.
Lower your chances of stroke by controlling your cholesterol. Visit stroke.org today.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to Locker Talk on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. I'm your host, Barry Barnes, founder and CEO of Locker-Report.com, where you can find all the content that I talk about on this show in regards of the NFL within the NFL. But the whole source of it is to discover NFL stars of tomorrow today. Well, Boss Man, as you heard on the commercials, all the shows to check out on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where we cover everything from all kinds of topics. And the whole lay down, the only thing he just forgot to mention was his show, was come on Thursday nights. And this guy pretty much covers up everything in the world, across the globe. So anything you need to know what's going on, and if you didn't get a chance to read your paper, didn't get a chance to read the latest news, just tune in on Thursday and check out the LA Bachelor Pad, because 10 times out of 10, he's going to talk about what you missed. Well, the first part of the show talked about the opening of the preseason matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Atlanta Falcons, which was a good game in terms of watching the players from the regional combine, seeing how they performed on the field, because the preseason is all about trying to secure a job or trying to attain a career in the NFL. So that's the whole purpose of the regional combine, my purpose of following it. And like I said, that for the rest of the show, we will have a special guest who I'm really excited to talk to in a few minutes, head coach Bethune-Cookman, Mr. Terry Sims. So it's a pleasure to have him come on to the show. And Coach Sims, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Coach, how you doing this morning? Thanks for joining Locker Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, I know it's early. I know you're probably getting ready for your boys to come in to get ready to get this season kicked off. And so as far as the program, we know since you've been there for the last 4 years, 27 wins, 17 losses, a great winning percentage that you have. What do you look at as far as in terms of this season moving forward with your program?
Well, just looking for our guys to continue to build on what we had going on in the spring. Just looking for them to come back in and gel together and continue to move forward. Look forward to make this whole program better.
That's awesome. And that's what you're definitely doing since you had became the head coach in 2014, knowing that your players are definitely progressing, and to know that you have a couple of players that's playing professional football. And one of the guys that comes to mind for me is Joel Davis. Joel Davis came through the NFL Regional Combine platform last year when he was in Tampa. And when he came, I was able to talk to him for that time while he was there, and then he signed with the New York Giants, had some good playing time towards the middle to the end of the season last year, and now he's in camp with the Green Bay Packers. Tell us a little bit more about him. I know the listeners, they know I've been talking about him ever since he came through the process and all last year, but can you tell the listening viewers about that young man and what you imparted in him to get him to this next level?
Well, Joel is a guy, fun-loving guy, but he loves to play the game of football. He loves football. He's not a guy that likes football. He loves it. And he was probably one of the most talented football players I've ever coached. If you asked him to do something, he could do it. He was just a top-notch receiver that was always hungry to learn. Early on in his career, he had a couple of injuries that kind of kept him out a little bit, but he didn't let it stop him. He used that time to better his football knowledge, and now it's paying off for him big time.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you brought up the injury part, because during his workout last year when we was evaluating him, we was at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facility. The scouts worked him out a lot, and I think they wanted to see how healthy he was at that time. And he had a lot of scouts that was looking at him. One of the teams that was really heavy on him, I thought for sure the Jets was going to try to bring him in, because they were one of the teams that was really talking to him. And to see that the Giants had brought him on and then make that active roster, which I was not surprised, because I talked about his skill set while he was there. When the last time you had talked to him, when he's now in Green Bay, what is his chance? What is his thought, his mindset of knowing that he have a legitimate shot in making this Packers team? Because I think he's going to be competing with Tyler Davis, who actually came through the process as well. I think they're going to compete, those guys up against each other on the return game. Have you talked to him since about his motivation being the Packer?
Have, and Joel is a guy, one thing he's not short on is confidence. He's been that way, the whole time I've known him, since his freshman year walking in here. He's been full of confidence, and, if you listen to Joel, he's going to make any roster that he's on. Any team that he's on, he's going to make that team. And he works like that. So, I'm excited for him. He seemed like he was excited when we spoke last week, just, for the opportunity. He's a kid that's always going to be grateful. He's not going to take anything for granted. So, again, I'm just excited for him, excited for the opportunity. for him and his family.
That's awesome, Coach. We're talking to head coach of Bethune-Cookman, head coach Terry Sims on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network on Locker Talk. Coach Sims, this season, last year I created my a watch list of talented players to look out for moving forward in 2020, and knowing with my relationship with NFL football operations, and try to use the influence to help shed light on unknown talents that most people don't know about, but in my opinion, NFL worthy. This season, you have a defensive tackle named Jaquez Ford. Last year, he finished 19th in the season. In the country in sacks when he had racked up by 11 sacks last year. So 10 sacks last season. So he's one of your players that's on my list. Can you tell us a little bit more about him, what you expect from that young man, and what is – I know his mindset is to finish strong this year to get to the NFL, but tell us some character things about Mr. Ford that we don't know about, that the whole football community should know about.
Well, first of all, it's Marcus Ford, and he's a defensive end.
Oh, okay. Well, I apologize for that. I was going by the notes that I had. I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. He's a defensive end. It's Marcus Ford, and he's a guy that is gonna always work hard, and he's gonna always do the right things. So he's definitely a leader. He's a born leader, and a guy that we're counting on to lead our defensive line this year.
That's fantastic. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how he's going to finish this year. I'm definitely going to have my eyes on him. Hopefully that my schedule would allow that on November the 9th when you guys play Delaware State. I'm going to try to get a credential. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I said hopefully on November the 9th that I'll make sure I'll be in Delaware State to see you guys play and also see him up close to check out his skill set, because I know that he's definitely going to be something special trying to move forward into the next level. Coach.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely a treat to watch.
I can't wait. I'm really excited. Knowing that operations, NFL football operations, is really pushing for more HBCU school talent to get noticed for NFL scouts. And moving forward each year, although we had two players in particular, especially with what Leonard was able to do with the Indianapolis Colts, their linebacker, knowing that the light of the talent that really is at the HBCU level for their programs, and these guys not translating to the NFL level, what do you think is some of the reasons why the HBCU talents are not really getting that light to get to the next level?
Well, I just think, one, the stages that we play on, we're not on TV every weekend. Definitely ESPN has done a great job in the last, 4 or 5 years with getting more HBCU football on TV, so, more people can watch. But I think that's just it. It's just the stage that we're playing on. But, once those guys get an opportunity to go to the next level, to the NFL, and play on that big stage, they're showing everyone that the talent is there. And that this league, not just the MEAC, but the SWAC and CIAA and SIAC, you have a lot of talent in these leagues, and the NFL is starting to notice it more and more. It's not the first time that HBCU players have gone to the NFL. If you look back in history, there are a lot of HBCU players that have been stars in the league. I just think it's these guys, getting an opportunity. And once they get the opportunity, they excel.
Right, and they definitely need to actually do a lot better with it. And like you said, ESPN has definitely been a strong supporter, of that movement. Now we just have to get more scouts to want to, on purpose, attend more HBCU games, to on purpose
correct
want to go to those schools and look at them, and that's why I focus a lot on that, on the institutions, because the talent is there. It just needs on purpose be looked at. And that's what I'm trying to do through my publication at locker-report.com, is to, on purpose, look at the talents that's there, present it to those who need to know, and what influence that I have when I do communicate with NFL football operations on what is out there. So that's my task. That's a task that I take with all my heart. As a head coach, I always look at head coaches, especially in football, as leaders of men. And we all know that every player that comes through your program is not going to make the NFL. But as a man coaching, leading other men, what are the ultimate message that you tell your players year in and year out? Those that's coming in, those are graduating. What is your message as a man to a leader of men to your players?
Well, I mean, we're really simple. It's not about having, a board of 35 rules to try and lead and guide people into becoming men. It's, do the right thing, do everything you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it to the best of your ability. And you treat people right, I think good things happen.
You're absolutely right about that, Coach. And just like how with yourself, how you was with the program for about 9 years before, several years before you became the head coach, you stuck with it. You're a great example of that. You're a great example of the institution, Bethune-Cookman. You have a great product that's on the field. I wish you and the rest of the team great success this year. The Delaware State game is a game I will attend, and hopefully I get the opportunity to meet you, meet Mr. Ford as well, and I wish you the best healthy season this year, and go out there and kick butt, and don't beat up Morgan too bad when y'all play them down in Florida.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on. Look forward to the next time I speak with you.
I'd be honored to have you come on again at the end of the season, Coach Sims. Thank you for your time, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That was, once again, Bethune-Cookman's head coach, Mr. Terry Sims, who has a winning record with that program, picked that program. That program was doing well when he was there as an assistant coach, and he's still carrying the tradition of that program for the Wildcats as they look to be even more excellent on the field moving forward into 2019. Knowing they have a good, strong schedule to start that season off, knowing they got to play the likes of the Miami Hurricanes, go against Jackson State, and then they get to go against Southeastern Louisiana. So they definitely have a good, powerful schedule to start the season off, but he will definitely do well. Well, that's the show pretty much today for the Locker Talk. Next week going to be a special week. The Brian Banks movie comes out, and Mr. Brian Banks, his story is remarkable. I've met this man. I know this man. Spent time with him in 2015 when he pretty much was just getting his career started after spending time in prison for 5 years and then going 5 years of probation for a crime that he did not commit. We've seen his ads. We've seen the show see the movie being advertised everywhere. He got the right supporters behind him. This is something that I know personally that he's been working towards ever since he was able to become a professional speaker around the country to get his story out. And now after several turn downs and programs and progress that fell through, he finally got his story on the big screen. Comes out next week. Next week I will have an interview that I had with Mr. Banks 2015 when he came through the NFL Regional Combine when he was in Baltimore, when he talked about his story. And we're going to play that next week and also talk about some obstacles as young men, especially young athletes that's trying to become professional athletes. There's a message that is going to be really strong next week that I'm going to talk about here on Locker Talk. So make sure you tune in to hear that interview that I had with Mr. Banks several years ago, and how no matter what, that interview and his story will always be relevant. and I'm going to talk about that next week, and also get into some football stuff, as well. You listen to Locker Talk on the Bachelor Pad Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. Everyone stay blessed. Enjoy the Hall of Fame ceremony this weekend. Many guys are going to kick butt this weekend with that speech, so I'm looking forward to it. Always reach me directly on Twitter at Locker_report, 2B Sports, the number 2, B Sports, Facebook, LockerReport.com, Instagram, LockerReport100, all small caps, or you can shoot me a message directly at Barry Barnes at Locker-Report.com. Everyone stay blessed. Have a great weekend.